What's it like managing global talent from Atlanta, Georgia?
Yeah. So I have a great team, and we were very fortunate that we ultimately started this team, like I said, with my previous company, right?
Right.
So I think a lot of people will look and say, man, you've built a team of 50 in a year and a half, and it's really more like 3 years. But it has its own challenges. But what I learned at USA Millwork was I was VP of engineering for 5 facilities, and across those 5 facilities, we actually had a staff of 85 that I was responsible for. And by time COVID came, we had gone fully remote. And so I had 85 people, and by the end, they were spread across 22 states. So from that regard, it's not much different than what I'm doing now. If anything, I've got less people. Remote is remote. The important thing is that, we from the start have Bolivia is Eastern time zone. So, we're not dealing with somewhere over, in Asia or somewhere that we're on like a 12-hour time difference. And everybody is English fluent. We very much we're adamant about that from the start to be able to have them truly integrate. So with those two factors in place, it's really not so much of being international as being remote. And then we do have an office, and we have leadership in place down there. I go down 3 or 4 times a year, which is huge because it still is a big need to meet in person and develop those relationships.
Yeah.
And we've actually brought people to the US to visit and work with clients and stuff. So, but I've really leveraged what I learned just managing a remote workforce in the US and a lot of those things, which is, one is to understand that like there's a limit to how many individual direct reports a single person can effectively manage. So there's no way I could be directly managing all 50 of our people, right? I have a leadership team below me, and it trickles down from there, right? And understanding like what are my strengths, what are the things that I really offer that are the most value that I can do, and delegate everything else. And that's a daily struggle because as you're growing a business, you don't really know what the business needs or what you need to hire for, what tasks you need to do. So I've always been, and this is kind of my engineering background of like, hey, I do something until I figure out a process, and then I find somebody to train to repeat that process, then I can delegate it to. And so there's been many phases of that in the starting of Ductworks. And early on, I was talking to every client. I was managing every project. I was running the schedule and in Excel and in planner systems, and so as things evolved and we grew, it was okay. I can't be the one scheduling everything, and I need a better solution than Excel. And so we invested in Smartsheet, which I had experience with, and we created a real system, and I offloaded that to a manager and said, hey, you're responsible for the schedule now, and here's what that means. And then having weekly meetings on that. And then it was, okay, I can't be the one doing all estimating sales. And it was, again, how do I create a process and then teach somebody else that now that is their job? And so that is, in my mind, that's entrepreneurship. That is business. That is just the daily thing that we do, right? Is, okay, what am I doing that I could not be doing that's taking up time from something more value add that I could do? So lately it's, okay, I need to be spending more time in front of our clients and in front of our existing clients, making sure that we're adding the right value for them, which means I'm traveling, which means I can't be doing something else that I'm doing.